Jamie expresses his excitement about visiting Reason, to which his mother explains that Reason is the kingdom's largest commerce city and a major contributor to the wealth of Seldam. She further informs Jamie that they are on their way to meet Earl Simon, who is renowned for his significant accomplishments. He attained the rank of a great mage at a remarkably young age, making him one of the two most prominent nobles in the eastern region and the Lord of Reason. Earl Simon's magical prowess is often likened to a beautiful red lotus flower, earning him the moniker Red Lotus Mage. Upon their arrival, they are greeted by an escort who guides them to the castle. After a brief respite, they prepare to join the other attendees. As Sarah Belle Welton gets ready, two servants compliment her beauty. Subsequently, they all convene in the ballroom of Earl Simon's castle, where Riol van Her, a modest servant responsible for administrative duties in the Reason estate, extends a warm welcome to the guests. He directs them to their designated seats. Earl Simon makes his grand entrance, addressing the assembled guests and expressing his welcome. When he inquires about Earl Welton, Sarah Belle explains that he will be arriving later, as he had pressing business to attend to back at the estate. She then introduces her children to Earl Simon. After Earl Simon leaves the ballroom and joins his family at the dining table, his son inquires about Jamie Welton. In response, Simon's wife encourages their son to maintain a positive relationship with Jamie, emphasizing the long-standing alliance between the Welton and Simon families. Despite his promise to do so, the son inwardly harbors no intention of befriending someone he considers a twerp. On the other side, Jamie receives advice from his mother to make plenty of friends, but he has other plans for his alone time. Earl Simon, observing Jamie's evident talent in both business and magic, believes he has fully developed his abilities. Jamie seeks a quiet spot to contemplate, but as he moves, he is abruptly halted by a girl who appears behind him. She introduces herself as Ash Bale, the second eldest daughter of the Bale household and an elementalist. Elementalists are highly regarded casters who have signed significant contracts, and their mere presence can warrant the title of barons for their nobility. As Ash inquires about Jamie's identity, he introduces himself as the heir to the Welton household. On another front, Earl Argino reprimands a man for running a human trafficking operation on his land and orders his execution the following day. Then, he prepares for his departure to the ball. When Simon's daughter expresses her desire to befriend Jamie, he bluntly advises her to seek companionship elsewhere, making it clear that he has no intention of forming friendships. She, feeling slighted by his response, accuses him of being mean before walking away. Jamie contemplates that having friends and caring for others can be a quick path to losing objectivity. Upon his return, he is intercepted by Earl Simon's son, who suggests that, as the two future prominent nobles in the eastern region, they should begin forging their friendship from a young age. Jamie, however, rebuffs the offer, showing disinterest. This refusal infuriates Simon's son, who vows to first crush Jamie and his magical abilities, forcing him to become subservient. To achieve this, he employs an illusionary artifact, but Jamie swiftly dispels the enchantment and retaliates. Their confrontation results in injuries for both parties. Earl Simon's son is left in awe, questioning who could have taught Jamie such powerful magic and abilities, given the extent of his powers. At night, when Earl Argino arrives, Simon personally welcomes him, and they adjourn inside to discuss the previous meeting at the ball. Simon praises Earl's son as a child of remarkable talent, describing him as genuinely extraordinary. In response to Earl's question about whether he sees a similar gifted quality in Jamie, Simon enthusiastically affirms that Jamie is brimming with talent. Earl Argino mentions that Marquis Rinmal had shared similar sentiments by refusing to take Jamie as his pupil. Simon explains that such a decision isn't surprising, given that Jamie is a genius with unparalleled talent who will develop independently and eventually challenge the ranks to become a legendary rank 9 mage, a status confined to legends. Simon further reflects on the vulnerability of human mages compared to other magical beings such as dragons, high elves, or lands. He acknowledges that mankind's balance is maintained primarily thanks to sword masters like Earl. He expresses a strong desire for humans to assert themselves as the dominant race in the world. Simon suggests that Earl should take some rest, promising to meet with him again the following day. Afterward, Earl visits Jamie's room, where he finds Jamie peacefully asleep, deeply concerned about his son's exceptional abilities. The next morning, as Jamie sits in the ballroom, Ash Bale approaches him, but he announces his intention to leave, expressing no interest in her company. To Jamie's astonishment, Rebecca Bale, the eldest daughter of the Bale household, also arrives at the scene. Jamie is taken aback by her presence, as she was Jane in his past life, the girl he had deeply loved. Suddenly, Simon's son appears and declares that Jamie won't be able to escape from his impending challenge. In a bid to confront Jamie, Simon's son unleashes a Phoenix Wraith spell, a formidable rank 6 spell devised by his father. He's convinced that Jamie, whom he considers a mere geek, wouldn't be able to counter it. Their parents soon arrive on the scene. Earl Argino intervenes, urging them to cease their hostilities, assuring that everything will be resolved. Simon commends Jamie for his skillful defense, explaining that the spell was only operating at about half its full power due to his brother Alf's magical incompetence. Otherwise, the ballroom would have been reduced to ashes. Simon's wife, however, blames Jamie for her son's injuries. In response, Sarah Bell asserts that it was Simon's son who initiated the attack by picking a fight with Jamie and casting an offensive spell through an artifact. Simon apologizes to Lady Welton and extends his sincere apologies to everyone present, then recommends they get a good night's rest. As they withdraw, Lady Simon expresses her disapproval, suggesting that Simon should have supported their son, even if he was in the wrong initially. Simon reproves his son for his reckless actions, emphasizing that they could have had consequences throughout the kingdom, not just in the eastern region. His son claims he only wanted to teach Jamie a lesson. When Simon inquires, his son reveals that his brother, Lennon, provided him with the artifact containing the Phoenix Wraith spell. When Lennon arrives, he explains that he gave it to his brother because he couldn't bear to see him outmaneuvered by someone as arrogant as Jamie. When Lennon arrives, he explains that he gave it to his brother because he couldn't bear to see him outmaneuvered by someone as arrogant as Jamie. Simon conveys to his sons that they are likely the least of his concerns, mainly because they do not possess the particular talent he desires from his children. However, this doesn't mean he is oblivious to their intentions. He suggests that if they genuinely seek his recognition, they should demonstrate that his blood runs within their veins. He departs, instructing them to begin by apologizing to Jamie Welton the following day. On another note, Sarah Bell is troubled, even though Earl Simon has already apologized for the spell Jamie cast at Alf, which could have been fatal if the artifact's power had been fully unleashed. As she departs, Jamie awakens and reflects on his parents' concerns. He acknowledges that he did lose control when he saw Jane, finding it hard to believe that she, too, has been reincarnated. Speculating that reincarnation may not be uncommon, given his own return to life, he considers the possibility that she might not remember her past life, unlike him. Jamie resolves to speak to her in person, and the following day, as many guests have already departed, he hurries to meet her before she leaves. He finds her on the lawn and, sensing his unease, she inquires if everything is all right, noting the concern in his demeanor. Jamie reassures Rebecca, saying that everything is fine now. She shares the wisdom her father always imparted, emphasizing that troubles tend to diminish when shared with others. During their conversation, Jamie realizes that Rebecca is indeed a different person now, not the same as Jane. After a while, Jamie bids farewell and returns. On his way back, he suddenly remembers that he forgot to tell her to call him Jamie instead of addressing him as young master. Approaching Rebecca casually feels somewhat challenging, perhaps because she comes across as mature. Upon reaching the castle, Jamie encounters the sons of Simon waiting for him. Alf, the younger son, apologizes to Jamie, and Jamie understands that they've come to apologize on Earl Simon's orders. Lennon, the elder brother, is introduced, and it becomes evident that he provided the magical artifact to Alf. Jamie notes that Lennon appears to possess significantly more talent than Alf and demonstrates the intelligence of a human. He also observes that Lennon did not intervene in the previous altercation, and it seems that he treats both Jamie and Alf with a degree of contempt, possibly adopting a condescending attitude toward everyone except his father. This hints at the potential for trouble in the future. Jamie questions Lennon about his opinion, but he responds rudely, stating that it's none of his business. Soon, he realizes that his father has made it clear that there won't be a second chance for them. Lennon bows down and offers another apology to Jamie. The next day, as they prepare to depart, Simon notices that Jamie appears somewhat unsettled. However, Jamie denies feeling unsettled and expresses his eagerness to return home and get some rest. Simon offers to extend his stay, but Jamie declines, emphasizing his desire to return. Simon then informs Jamie that the Magical Society has taken note of him. Jamie mentions that Simon's son, Lennon, seems to possess significant magical talent and might develop into a formidable mage with proper guidance. Jamie believes that Lennon has the potential to become as powerful as Simon but cannot flourish under excessive pressure. He attributes the choices both of Simon's sons made to the pressure they felt due to their perceived lack of talent. After bidding farewell, Jamie departs. Simon reflects on his words, finding them bittersweet. Upon his return, Jamie meets with Azard and Ryza. They inform him that the Order of Zenith has been gaining favor by engaging in charitable activities across various parts of Heis. The Order has won the hearts of the people by providing food to the hungry, shelter to the homeless, and recently, by establishing an orphanage. Following Earl Welton's eradication of the criminal gang Rabal 2 months ago, the followers of Zenith have been actively promoting their faith. Currently, faith in Zenith is considered the most merciful and esteemed religion in Heis. Jamie suspects that there may be an ulterior motive behind the Order's benevolent actions and suggests investigating what they are up to. On the other side, the orphanage is managed by Ricky, under the directive of the Order of Zenith. Ricky is commended for his excellent work. Since Ricky and his sightless little sister, Anna, were accepted into the orphanage about a month and a half ago, their lives have been filled with happiness. They had faced hardships, but the kindness of someone brought them to the orphanage, granting them a fresh start. The next morning, as Jamie arrives at the dining table, he is met with a guest sporting yellow hair who is profusely expressing his gratitude to Earl Argino. He attributes his survival to the Earl's guards, stating that he would have perished on the streets if they hadn't come to his aid. Jamie is irked by the openness of this individual in front of his parents, finding it annoying. The guest introduces himself as Lars Armetic, a servant of Pero, the goddess of forgiveness and punishment. Sarah Bell remarks on the surprise of the encounter and discloses her connection to the Bell household. Lars rises from his seat and kneels before her, expressing his honor at meeting her. When Earl Argino inquires about the reason for his visit, Lars explains that he was tracking someone engaged in prohibited and inhumane experiments and ended up here. He is a chimera maker, someone who artificially creates beings by combining the strengths of various creatures. Earl asks him to reveal his identity, to which Lars responds that this information is classified, and he can only share it with those who pledge their assistance. Earl conveys that while he may find it challenging to offer an absolute commitment, considering the connection between his wife's family and the Order of Faith in Pyro, he cannot simply ignore the matter. Lars is elated to learn that Earl is willing to help. When Jamie inquires about the relationship between his mother's family and the Paladin's Order, she explains that her grandfather had a benefactor within the Order of Faith in Pyro.